Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Sexytime podcast. I'm Ava.
And I'm Belle. And today we have a guest who's redefining what it means to connect in the digital age, whether it's through mindfulness, emotional support, or bedtime stories.
Joining us today is Flora the Yogi, a content creator, OnlyFans personality, and a wellness guide who's captured attention by helping people feel seen, heard, and less alone. Hi, Flora.
Hi, Flora.
Hi, it's an honor to be here.
Hi, Flora. We're so happy to have you. You know, when your name was brought up and the things that you were brought up was talked about, we were like, we need to ask her. Like, we don't hear that often. Like, I see that you read bedtime stories, and I know you started off as an OnlyFans creator. How did you start with that?
I start with OnlyFans, or
how did OnlyFans and then shift into bedtime stories? Yeah, there's so many things I want to ask. Maybe let's start with, how did you get to OnlyFans? How do you start with that?
Yeah, so initially my best friend at the time was doing OnlyFans content creation, and I was working a job that I hated, and she was really pushing me to like go into being an assistant for OnlyFans creators. She's like, there's so many creators that really need like help with this. She's like, I could teach you all the steps. So I initially got into OnlyFans as an assistant, and that's how I kind of like learned the ropes, learned what I was doing, and eventually I was like, you know what, like I could do this myself. Like,
I'll be the boss. I'll be the boss.
But
what kind of assistance were you doing?
I was helping like uploading content. I was scheduling mass messages. At some points I was like messaging their fans, and I was running, at the time that I quit, I was running a pretty big page. It was like 0.02% like the top.
Wow.
And so I was like, wow, I know how to run a pretty successful page. So like I'm not taking any ideas or anything, but I know how like the site works and I know how to monetize it. So
can I ask, when you say a pretty successful page, what is your measurement of that? The 0.02, is it the number of followers they have, or is it the amount of income or money that is being paid to the creator?
The percentage is within the site itself. So it tells you like you're in this top percentage, and it's based on how much money you make on the site. Yeah.
How much money you make?
Wow, that's amazing. And correct me if I'm wrong, for OnlyFans, is it normally like adult type of content, or is it more than just that?
I would say mostly. Yeah, adult type
So
content.
the people you were working for would create content for that. And so would you be with them in person? Did you know them in person, or was it purely virtual?
Purely virtual. I never met any of my clients in person, although like the one client, I eventually just had one client that I was doing everything for. I was running a team of like 5 people for her.
Wow. I mean, that's a job in itself, like really, for other people looking for online work, right?
Wait,
Yes.
sorry. When you talk about you were running a job for one client with 5 people, what does that entail? I just want to get an understanding of it.
Basically, I was kind of like the manager at that point, and there were other people like running different aspects of the page, because like it's a huge operation. It really is. There's so much going on. So there's people like scheduling her posts. There's people sending out messages. There's people like sending content to fans, different jobs within the site. And I'm kind of like overseeing everything.
Okay. It is honestly like a full-time job plus more, right? Because
it's a company.
Yeah, essentially you have a channel and your own production company.
So okay, you were saying, so you were assisting someone and then you realized you could do it yourself. What's the first step? Like, what did you say? Were you like, okay, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna do this myself? Do you sign a non-disclosure clause?
You're like, I cannot copy your content.
Non-compete
Non-compete
clause.
Not to get too like drama.
Yeah, okay.
No, we like the drama.
Like drama.
Kidding.
But at the time, like when I first started, I was just kind of like dipping my toes in the water, and I was like, I don't know. I was not confident. I did not have any like self-assurance around any of that. So I kind of made the page and I left it for a while, and then I kind of did some stuff here and there. And my client, I didn't tell her. I didn't sign any kind of thing that said I had to or that I wasn't allowed to create a page. I had no idea. So it wasn't like I wasn't telling her to like keep it a secret. It was just like, that's my business. And then once I started doing more stuff, she found out that I had created a page, and she gave me an ultimatum. She said, you delete your page or you're fired.
Oh
my
damn.
gosh.
Okay.
So we know the route you took.
Yeah. And I said,
Okay.
well, I
quit.
refuse to be treated that way. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gone. You can't fire me. And it was frustrating because I had no idea that that would have happened. And when she asked me about it, I was completely candid. And I was like, hey, yeah, I've been doing this. I have this small page. Like, I'm really excited about it. Like, no idea of the aftermath.
Would you say she saw you as competition? Is that what it's like in OnlyFans? It's like,
Yeah.
it is
I
like
would
that.
definitely think so. She assumed that I was stealing her content, that I was stealing her ideas. And yeah, I even like offered her a link to my page. I was like, here, go look, see what I'm doing and see that it's not what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
She's probably like, no way.
yeah,
No, it
and like
sucks
how
because
small I am.
Yeah, it sucks because she could have taken that moment, I guess, and just kind of like, I don't know if it showed you the ropes, but understood also that, you are interested in this and not
Wanting
taking
to
it
make a name for
that
yourself.
way. Yeah, in that competition. But
It could have been a shining like moment for her to be your mentor.
your mentor.
And she
It's
went,
very disappointing.
Yeah.
Like I said, we had grown pretty close. Like, she was with me through a lot of hard times that I was going through, and like she supported me through that, and like gave me some time off when I needed it, and like and for her to react to me that way after everything that we've been through sucked. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get to your content. You read your clients' bedtime stories.
or did you? I think she shifted into that. Can you tell it? I want to know.
Okay.
You start, yeah. What did you start with and how did you shift?
Yeah, tell us your story.
Yeah. When I started, I was kind of doing it the way that I thought I had to. I was making this explicit content. I was doing, the types of things that I thought was necessary to make money on
Like-
OnlyFans.
Do you mind being a bit more descriptive in terms of what type of content? Because it would be nice to also understand how it, and I have a few questions after. Sorry. So like what type of content would you do? Was it like fully naked?
Yeah, I was fully naked, masturbation content. I was doing
Yeah.
sexting, toys, all the things, like all the things that you would assume would be on a site like that. I just kind of got burnt out on all of that. So
I mean, how do you prepare yourself to do that type of content? Like, what's your background? Is it like when you started OnlyFans, were you always exposed to nudity and porn? Is that something that's quite normal for you? I want to know.
no, I mean, it was when I was an assistant, so it kind of like really exposed me to that. It wasn't before,
Okay.
but I will say when I started, like I mentioned, when I started my account, I was not like, to me, it was still like, oh, this is like scary.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were unsure, and you just said,
Yeah.
let's see where it goes.
But over time, like I burnt out on all of that, but I will say that it gave me a lot of confidence. It made me feel so much more secure about my body. Like I would never regret that period of time because I'm who I am because of it. Like
Yeah.
there's just something about that validation and the assurance, even if it is from men on the internet, like it made me
course.
feel good about myself. Gave me the confidence and the courage to step more into who I am as a person and feel confident, even things not related to my body, even just like how I show up in the world and my personality. It gave me a lot of confidence.
And going into that, when you were doing it at that time, with your friends or the people in your life, did they know you were doing that, or how did you prepare for that?
Or how did they react?
My friends all knew. My partner at the time knew.
Oh,
They
nice.
weren't
Creative.
super excited about it, but they knew. And then I didn't tell my family for probably a year.
And they never found out. I mean, like it
They
was
did.
never sent to them. Oh, they did.
No. I thankfully I've never had any experience like that where like my content was sent out to my family. Thank God. I eventually told them because they're pretty nosy. Eventually they were like, "What are you doing for work?"
Yeah.
And
how did they take
my
it?
dad, as one would expect, like they weren't upset, but they were like, the saying, "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed."
Yeah.
But they never said anything negative to me about it. They're just like, if this is what you want to do, like we support you, but like we're not going to say that we're excited.
Yeah, they're not, meaning they're not going to support you in a sense that they're going to click and watch, right? So I guess it's also tough for family members to receive that type of information because, you want to support them, and it's like kind of actually a sensitive topic, but it's great that you're even able to talk to them about it. Most people or most families would just disown them and just be like, get away from me.
That's the best type of support you could ask for, actually, in my opinion.
That's true.
Which is really cool. You had a partner at that time.
I did when I first started.
Did he or she ever see the content? And how did that affect you guys?
Yeah, he definitely saw it. When I first kind of brought it up as, like an idea, he was totally totally against it. He was like, absolutely not. Like, this is not happening. Like, well, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
No one's going to stop me.
I'm like, if I decide to do this, I'm going to do it without your support. We didn't have a good relationship. And at the time I was just like, you know what? I need to do what I'm going to do. And
Yeah.
just decide, if you're cool with that. Eventually he warmed up to the idea. He was fine with it.
He started doing your lighting and being like, stand here.
A little assistant, yeah.
Flora, you went from a more adult-focused content to this mix of emotional connection and mindfulness. Can you tell us that journey? You said you were doing a lot of explicit stuff where you were posting nude videos and photos, masturbation, and, kind of more sexual content. And then you kind of said, okay, let me try this route.
I guess flashback to about 2 years ago is when this transition kind of happened. It's when I really started burning out on explicit content. The time period where it made me feel really confident and happy had long fizzled away, and it had become something that I felt like I was obligated to do.
Yeah.
Like I had to keep doing this because this was my job. So I started getting really burnt out, and the amount of money I was bringing in because of that started to go down, because you could tell that I didn't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
At the time, I had signed up for a yoga teacher training. So I was going through that, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to put this on the back burner, the OnlyFans, and I'm going to learn to be a yoga teacher, and this will be my new job, because I'm a very spiritual person. I kind of wanted to pivot towards that direction of things and let that be my career, because I thought it would be more fulfilling for me. So I started going through my yoga teacher training, and during that time is when things kind of shifted for me, and I started like getting all these ideas like, hey, like what if I can still do OnlyFans because I know how to use this platform, but I can start to integrate all these things that I'm learning, like these tools that I'm learning on how to like help regulate people, how to make people feel better, and start using these things and create content that I actually enjoy. And I was like, what if it doesn't have to be what everybody else is doing? What if I can just do what I want, see
You're
what
like
happens?
tree pose. Take off your top right now. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, it starts there, like having these creative ideas that's not necessarily within what's already been done. It sounds so silly and it sounds so like impossible and frightening. And then when you start doing it, you recognize that people can resonate with it and connect with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. When I started doing that, it was like, I don't think I'm going to make very much money. Like, it's just going to be like a side gig for me while I teach yoga. But I was so surprised when I started showing up like that. Like, the way that it blew up was insane. And I was like, wow, not to just talk about the monetary, but like I'm making so much more money than when I was making explicit.
Boom! That's the best. I mean, that's even better.
Yeah.
And how did you shift in terms of the content? Like,
wait, the question I wanted to ask was how much money did you make on the biggest amount? Sorry,
I want to know that too.
Is that totally like inappropriate?
If you're if
you're
she's
willing to
comfortable,
disclose
sure.
a bracket.
The biggest month I think was about $30,000 I made, compared to maybe 10,000 max that I ever made on.
Wow. Times 3. That's
wow.
And
that's
so
insane.
In terms of the shift in content, I want to know, because I guess when you're doing adult content, you're just one in like 100, whereas with the shift that you're doing, what was it? Is it a mix of wellness, or is it yoga specific to men? Is it just anyone?
Yeah, can you talk about
I'm curious.
Yeah, just talk about like
so what I do, I do a lot of simply wholesome content, like like reading bedtime stories and talking to them about their day, and like creating.
Is it to men or is it to anyone?
To anyone, but I would say men is my biggest people that come
market.
And I do make a lot of content for men too, specifically, but it's not all of it. What I do is basically my whole shtick is this huge problem around the loneliness epidemic and how it relates to porn and porn consumption. And I think that there has to be a bridge from this explicit porn, like in your face, explicit content, to, connection with themselves and the outside world. Because you can't just, it's an addiction for a lot of people, and you can't just like quit that immediately. So what I do is I create non-explicit sensual content. So basically I'm taking, tactics that I learned, like breath work and, body scans and relaxation techniques, while also kind of fusing in some like sensual things so that they can learn to masturbate or indulge in their pleasure in a way that is more, connecting with themselves, like letting it be something that's more holy than just like, getting
Yeah,
off
the
of
act
it.
itself. I love that you've been able to merge those two things. And it almost feels like the whole act is a bit more meaningful because you
Yeah.
have that side of things. I was going to say your voice is also so calming. So I feel like it's like the perfect voice for like to introduce
So
those things.
so it's like meaningful masturbation.
Yeah, with breath
Yeah.
work, with breath work.
With breath work. Yeah, I do a lot of breath
That's
work with
super
them.
cool.
And it's so funny
You
because like I can
no, go
do
ahead.
these types of sensual things and then that's like that leads them into the other stuff. Like I have like yoga classes that I teach. I have
You're like click
meditation
on video
classes
number
that I
2 for more.
I'm like, like going into the wholesome stuff, they're more open to it because I've kind of
Yeah.
put that in the sensual stuff as well.
So
I'm
cool.
trying to wrap my head around what you were saying because I was trying to make that connection. But when you just said that going into the more wholesome stuff because it's a bridge, it makes so much sense. Like, I think people don't understand that when men are addicted to porn, sorry, specifically men, it gets quite, the word is like, I don't know
Takes
if
over.
it's, yeah, it takes over. Like, I have a friend who had to break up with her longtime boyfriend because he was so addicted to porn that he would literally leave his meetings, like his work meetings, in the middle of like 10 a.m. or 11 or 12, whatever. And he'd be like, I need to go, like I have an emergency. And then he'd be in the bathroom watching porn. And he confessed to my friend, and my friend was like, oh my God, like it's so scary to see how it disrupts your real life. So what you were doing, many people listening to this will be like, that's, won't understand the concept around it. But because you were in OnlyFans and that kind of like more explicit content, you understand that these people are actually seeking a connection and trying to relieve themselves of something. And you don't want to, I guess, it's like you don't want to give them, they already have this explicit content. You're trying to introduce them to something else. I don't know if it's even more wholesome, if that's the right term, but it's just a different way to explore their bodies. It's so, like, I've never heard of anything like that. It's so
Me too. I
cool.
love that. You mentioned you have a class, like you look into each other's eyes. Did I hear that correctly or no? What are the type of things you do? You said something like a staring?
I do a lot of eye contact.
Eye contact, sorry, yeah.
Not a class,
Staring.
but yeah, it's staring. Yeah, and it's interesting. That's what made me go viral on Instagram because the amount of people that just want to feel seen. It's literally me just staring into the camera, like it looks like I'm making eye contact with you.
Can you do it here? And you're not looking at me, right?
I'm just staring into the camera like this, and I'm talking.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes I'll be talking, sometimes I won't be, but basically it's just creating this bridge of connection between me and the person on the other side of the screen.
And it's you and one person, one-on-one. Is that what it is?
So I don't do like one-on-one calls, like doing eye contact. It's literally just on Instagram. I do post some videos like that on my OnlyFans, but pretty much everything that I make on my OnlyFans includes me staring into the camera, whether it's sensual or not.
Do you ever get any requests where it's like, can you read me Little Red Riding Hood or something like that?
That's
right?
specific.
I don't know, like I'm thinking of children's bedtime
I feel like,
stories.
is that your fantasy? She's like the wolf.
Don't keep saying that. No, I don't think I've ever gotten anyone to ask me to read something like that. I have had people ask me to read poetry, so I have done that. But my biggest custom request is me staring into the camera and saying nice things and saying their name. And saying
their name.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, people want to also feel validated, and maybe they don't get that in their real life, or wow, how important.
It's crazy because you mentioned like you got validation coming to this as a creator, and then you're giving the same to the people who like consume or watch you, right? So I feel like the world is just like a group of people trying to find that validation from each other, and I love that you're able to give that. What are other types of content you do that promote connection between you and your audience other than the eye contact?
Yeah, I do weekly yoga classes that I have every week. And then I also do a monthly meditation class on OnlyFans Live. It's really good because it's so funny. Like these men, they're deep into OnlyFans. They're on here for porn, right? And then all of a sudden they're on this live stream meditating with me. and it's like nobody's saying anything inappropriate. Like everybody's like into it. It's simply just meditation and chill and relaxation. And it's so cute.
Yeah, that
I
is
think it's
cute.
so wholesome.
It's
But I also
unexpected.
do things like one time we did a paint with me live stream where I literally picked something off Pinterest and we just painted it together, and like that's what we did.
What? That's so cute. And these men are like
We-
40, 50-year-old men joining you?
Yes, and
That's
I think it's so
crazy.
important. I think it's so important to bring back that whimsy for them
Yeah,
and the
it's so
just
cute.
the silliness and the
Well, I think it also helps that you're like super beautiful, because then they're like, yeah, I'm gonna paint with
Obviously,
you. You know what I mean?
that side of,
Do you
but it's
feel
also
like
not
you've-
always sexual, right? So it's
Right.
cool.
Flora, do you feel like you've learned a couple of lessons on human connection, because you were started with OnlyFans and you're still there, but you're kind of shifting your audience to something a bit more like wholesome or more focused on connecting and making them feel seen? What's a lesson you've learned about human connection?
there's a lot of things that I've learned. I'm trying to narrow it down. I would say probably the biggest one that I think is so important, not just for men but for everyone, is that most people have this kind of void in themselves that they're looking to fill with something else. Whether that be porn or food or alcohol or another person, they're looking to fill that. And it's really hard to get it across to people that it was never meant to be filled by anything or anyone other than yourself. And that's the main message that I'm trying to get across with everything that I do, no matter what it is like you have to be there for you. You have to learn to reconnect with yourself and stop reaching for these things outside of you, because it's never going to fill it. It's always just going to lead to you looking for more. And it's the connection with other people, but more importantly, it's the connection with yourself that needs to be had. So that's my main message, and what I'm trying to teach is reconnecting with you. And even when it comes to like sensuality and masturbation, like what would it be like if you allowed this to be a connection with yourself rather than just pure external pleasure, and bringing yourself back to that.
I feel like
That's a really nice way.
I'm sitting in like a class where I'm learning so much, and yeah, it's so beautiful. Like, my God, how old are you? You're so wise. Flora, can you just, we have a lot more questions, but we don't want to take up too much of your time. Can you give us examples of what are the stories you read to men? Is it, again, more on the wholesome side? Is it more just like fantasy? If someone writes to you and says, can you tell me a story about, I don't know, like going to my grandmother's house, do you just create one?
That's my sister, like talking about the story she tells her kids, by the way.
No, I'm just like,
it's like literally you. I can picture you telling your son, pulling shit out of the air. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Basically, the stories that I do are I do these live streams at night, sometimes before I go to bed, and I have this book that I read to them. I'm pretty sure the title is The Wind in the Willows. It's about these little like animals.
yeah.
And their lives and what they do, and it's really funny. It's wholesome entirely, not sensual at all, not spicy at all. And I like to do the little voices and
Oh my God,
like
it's so
one
cute.
chapter, this little story, and they love it. They love it so much. But yeah, I've been recently also reading some poetry and some of my favorite books and that. So yeah.
And you're dressed wholesome, like you're dressed in a pajama.
It's like you're catering to these men's
Childhood.
inner child or childhood that never had this type of like safety and warmth. There's something about, you reading a story that is so like the feeling of warmth, innocent, and like they look for it. It's a longing. Maybe they also didn't have it growing up. I don't know. But
maybe that's the void she was talking about.
exactly. No, I love it. I love that you just kind of like found this niche, and you have such a mission. It's very clear to me now. Like when we first started and you were saying, oh, I did explicit content, this, like this. It's like, okay, you did that for money. And now you're shifting because you're like, actually, there is a bigger problem on why people get addicted to porn. There's this whole, loneliness kind of epidemic that I want to help curb through something that is meaningful. I didn't think the conversation was going to go that way. I'm just like, I'm so pleasantly blown away. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So you don't accept content when people say, oh, okay, take off your top or whatever, you know what I mean? Or I just wanted to know, like, is that something that you've sworn off or you're still open to it?
I'm still open to it because I believe there has to be a fine line between pushing them towards something that like maybe not better, but different, while also not shaming the desires that they have.
Oh, yeah.
Because, a big thing that I like to say is like desire is normal. Like having these feelings are perfectly normal because we're human, right? So like feeling that and seeking out these things is entirely normal, and I don't think that makes sense. Like I said, to go from everything to zero. So there has to be that in between. So I do some new content. It's very minimal. Like most of the stuff, at least my videos are clothed. But I do take some pictures and things like that, and occasionally I'll do some nude content. But basically, it's like I don't want you to feel ashamed
for having that
those things. And those things.
It's such a thoughtful way of thinking. I love that you're so progressive in what you do.
But
I
still
do have
very
a question.
Open. Okay,
I'm curious to know, what are some requests that you like?
I mean, probably my biggest request. I love it when people ask me for just the eye contact and me giving them affirmations. Like that's my favorite, because I know how it impacts them. I know that it makes them feel good about themselves, and it makes them feel confident and validated. And I get emotional when I do them a lot, because like I'm such an empath. And I guess that's why I do what I do.
That's true.
I feel for them. I feel for them that they never had a space for anybody to make them feel that way or feel validated.
Yeah.
And that they're having to come on here and pay someone to do it is I wouldn't say it's like sad, because I don't think it's sad for them to do it, but it's like,
kind of, I mean, like it's kind of sad, but like happy for you to provide that service too.
Happy sad.
Happy sad. Melancholy.
Question.
More of that.
What's the most hilarious comment you've gotten from a fan? Or
funny
memorable,
stories.
Memorable.
Memorable stories. Or have you ever fallen in love with a fan and you're like, he's hot?
No, I have such big boundaries with that too. Like, and that's another thing. Like, I don't allow them to call me baby or babe.
Okay.
A lot of them will be like, I love you, and I'm like, don't say that. Like there with what I do specifically, there has to be that solid boundary.
Yeah.
Or else it just like goes on the other side.
Do you have like a fan who constantly comes and like he's like always there to watch you specifically?
Yeah, I have
like the same person.
Yeah.
And so, do you ever give any special treatment to any of them because they come often, or
probably maybe just because like I've chatted with them a lot and I know them well. So like
if they
I'm
give
like
big
on a
tips,
live or something, if they give big tips, I'm like, I like you.
Yeah, you're like, love you, baby. What's the most unusual place you've recorded, or is it just always in your bedroom or in your house?
I guess maybe when I'm traveling, like hotels and stuff. I wouldn't say I do anything.
You're not like on the toilet, like, hey guys, 1 second.
No, not in the toilet.
Okay.
Maybe in like a dressing room or something.
this is more like personal. So, do you also date in your personal life?
Yeah,
you do. And is that something you mentioned from the get-go, like what you do, or is it something that's brought up casually in your convo?
I typically try to bring it up immediately, just because like I feel like that's important to know. But it also just depends on the person. Like if I feel like you're just not gonna vibe with it and you're gonna be judgmental, I'm just like,
just don't say anything.
I'm a little
But if he's like, I know you look so familiar. You're like, let me tell you. It's so interesting. It's really so interesting.
Is it hard to date when you're doing what you're doing? Because then, there is that guys will be like, what do you know what I mean?
To some extent. Although I do feel like the people that I attract are like more open and progressive and, open-minded about that kind of thing. So it's not all bad, but yeah, not everybody is open to it. It's okay.
Yeah. And that's okay. And you never date fans, guys. Take note.
Never, ever.
Flora, before you wrap, can you tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram, and also if they have OnlyFans, how they can follow you?
Yeah, I'm everywhere. And my is at Flora the Yogi on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere I make YouTube videos.
YouTube as well. Nice.
Yeah.
What's your YouTube handle?
It's also Flora the Yogi.
And then on OnlyFans, you're Flora the Yogi. It's good. It's very cohesive. It's easy to find. Yeah. Flora the Yogi. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's like is it early there? You said it's 9?
It's early. It's early. Yeah.
It's not too bad. It's just 9 a.m.
Right.
Yeah. that's
Thank you
great.
so much, Flora. We had so much fun talking to you. I hope
I'm-
we get to meet you in person.
I know. I
In the
really learned a
future.
lot. I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you came on. Thank you so much.
And if you ever come to the Philippines, you can always message us.
Would be
Thank you so
cool.
much. This has been